see you. Today, we're going to be talking about goal setting, how you can increase your recurring revenue, which, by the way, is the key to growing a practice. I was in the business for 30 years. Our team built a $1.3 million gross production revenue business. There were 2 of us on the team. My trailing 12 was $931,000. So I'm not just coming here telling you what you should be doing. I'm going to be sharing real ideas of how you can do it. That's why I think that we're a bit different than other people that come to you. I do want to let you know that I've written a couple of books. That's awesome. But the reason I show you that is my guess is there are plenty of you that have big goals. 61% of people or so want to write a book. If it's your turn to write a book, write a book. If it's your turn to grow your business bigger than you've ever dreamt possible, then now is the time. It's the end of 2016. Let's sprint through the last 6 weeks and see if we can't boost our revenues and then move into 2017 in a big way. I like to start off with some authority, social authority. I want people to know that I'm really coming to you from a message of let's get this done. When I look at this screen, even I'm excited about it. To be able to add Mutual of Omaha to this and have that on there, who do you want to talk to next year? Who do you want to be? We're going to learn how to implement repeatable processes and systems to grow your business today. That's my only learning objective, is to help you set goals in a way that is exciting and will help motivate you. I was just shooting a video a moment ago saying, it's a welcome video for our website, saying, okay, if you're here because you feel disorganized, scattered, you've been procrastinating, you have too much to do, you can't get it all done in one day, and you leave at the end of the day feeling like you're living in chaos, then you've come to the right place today. And I mean that with all of my heart and soul. I want people to be able to come to the 7-minute life and make their life different. When you look at this, you will see what we have to offer. The 7-minute life is here to help you prioritize, organize, and simplify your life at work and at home. Do you feel like you're living in chaos? I do. So I'm having a little technical issue here, Derek. Hang on one second. Let me start again. I want to make sure that you can see this. Good gracious. Live TV at its very best. Okay. Play from start. Yeah, there we go. Now we're in it. Okay. Prioritize, organize, and simplify. When you came in this morning, did you know exactly the goal that you want to accomplish for the next 6 weeks, for 2017? I want to take this chaos out of your world, help you organize it, and simplify it down to where you can hit your goals, and I want to do that in the next 25 minutes. That's a pretty big promise. Today is November 10th. We're going to be looking all the way out, I guess, until 12/31/2017. When you have a business, today's the starting point. Have you looked out, and do you really have goals that are specific for what you want to hit by 2017? I'm sorry, by 12/31/2017. We're going to help take you there. Well, people say, okay, what is it about this 7-minute life thing? In order to hit your goals, I'm going to ask you to create a daily plan of action. Just a simple daily plan. There are 24 hours in the day. I want you to break that down into 1,440 minutes. And if I can tell you that you can take 1% of your day to plan, you can change your life in 2017. I'm going to show you what I mean, but 1% of your day is 14 minutes. What would happen if you would take 7 minutes in the morning and 7 minutes in the evening to set daily goals? It can revolutionize what you're doing. Every goal has a starting point and an ending point. This is why I think financial advisors really get so frustrated. This is an image of someone running in a marathon. They had a starting point, and you can see him celebrating as he goes to the finish line. As a financial advisor for 30 years, I would start one year. Let's say it was in 2010, and then I'd get to 2011. But whatever that goal was that year wasn't enough. So I'd go to 2012, 2013, all the way to 2016. And we get to a point that we never, ever get to a finish line. That's what's so hard as a financial advisor, is when do you celebrate? When do you move from point A to point B and get to celebrate? That's part of what I want to share. The difference is when we begin to look at things from a new perspective, where we can celebrate success, but understanding our behavior can be everything about who we want to be. So this is why we're here. Today is the 10th, November 10th of 2016. Whatever your production number is today, trailing 12, that's where we are today. When I'm coaching financial advisors, they have big goals, and I hope you do too. I hope you have things that inspire you, motivate you, challenge you. They're going to absolutely pull out the very best in you. But people come to me and they say, Allyson, here's where I am today. I want to go to point B. The problem is there's this gap. You know, here's where we are, here's where we want to be, but this actually is meaningless. This is the hard part. You know where you are, you know where you want to be, but how are you going to get there? It's the how that people miss out on. Well, step one is I don't really think it's A to B. I actually think your goal setting, and I would like you to write this down, which is really different, is that you're not going to move from point A. You're going to move from point A to point Z. And you're going to do that on a daily basis. You know, we work on a 90-day platform. And 90 days from now, it's going to be what? Almost February. And we're either going to do what we said we were going to do on a day-by-day basis, or we are going to blink our eyes and February is going to be here. You know, I'm just shocked. It's almost Thanksgiving. It's just crazy. And I look back and I think, was I intentional about doing the things I needed to do? If we want to go from point A to point B, what if we had a goal just for today to do something tomorrow? And we could get to the end of tomorrow and say, I did what I said I would do. And then we could go to the next day and the next day and the next day, celebrating the tiny wins. The frustration of being a financial advisor can be overwhelming. And I want to have some place where I can get to the end of the day and say, yes, I did what I said I was going to do. Derek and I had a conversation, and we were talking about 90-day work goals. These tools are all going to be available for you so that you can have them. All of the handouts will be being sent out to you. But when was the last time you pulled out just a single sheet of paper and you said, here are the things that I want to accomplish 90 days from today? What would it look like if you could have some goals that you could actually accomplish in just 90 days? So Derek and I were talking, and let's think about a couple. What if you could accomplish 7 on-profile clients? Just 7 in the next 90 days, on profile. What if you could acquire 10 new life insurance clients? 10 new life insurance. What if you began to set personal and weekly goals, personal daily and weekly goals? How different would that make your life? Do we now have personal daily goals? And then we came back and we said, well, here's some specific goals. If we want to make it really specific, in the next week, in the next few days, what would happen if you called 1 center of influence? Not 1,000. I think that's what's so hard for all of us, is that we have these goals of contacting 90 prospects. But what if we just said we were going to contact 1 tomorrow? What would happen if you had 1 personal goal for tomorrow? One of the goals that I think is really key is that you're there. Having the opportunity to talk to one another and to network and say, here's what's working, here's the problem that I'm facing. Maybe a personal goal while you're there is to sit down face to face with a superstar there and say, here's what you're doing. How are you doing it? And maybe it's to sit down with somebody that is struggling, because I'm struggling. Every day we have to go from point A to point B. What about a personal goal of sitting down and talking to people, sharing those things, what's working? And then finally, what about taking some time today to decide what your production goal is going to be? What's the production goal going to be actually for 2017? And how do you calculate that? This is where I start getting excited. I want to know that in the next 90 days, in the next year, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, that we have potential. Now, potential is like taking a rubber band and pulling it as taut as you can get it and then letting it go. The rubber band had the potential, it just wasn't being pulled enough. I'm in a place in my life, I'm 56 years old, I'm way past middle age, that I'm looking for the challenge. I want somebody to take that and say, Allyson, let's get this thing done. Potential is a powerful thing. This is where I feel like I am today and why I think it's important to be looking at goals. The concept that I am teaching today is what we call goals, and I'd like you to write this down if you can. Goals, gaps, and bridges. This is where I was stuck. I'd be here as a financial advisor. This is the end of 2016. And I'd look out here at December of 2017 and I'd see where I wanted to be. I might even have put a number down. Unfortunately, there's this huge gap. And the problem with the gap, just like this looks, is it's just a void. There's nothing there. There's no way to really just blink your eyes and go from one production number to another. But I believe the gap is where we find the yet. Yet is going to be my word for 2017. When I go back and I look at this gap, it's the gap that motivates me. Here's where I am today. It's 2016. Here's where I want to be. It's 2017. Yes, I have a gap. I'm doing, I don't know, I'm doing $50,000 in production now. I want to go to $75,000. I'm not sure what that number is for you, but let's say that's it and there's a $25,000 gap. How do you get there? This is the exciting part. The gap means you just haven't done it yet. It's not that you can't do it, it's that you haven't done it yet. And I look at that word and I feel the fact that yes, the gap is what should excite us, not just looking at the forward. I just haven't been able to do it yet. But this is where the concept, I believe, becomes more powerful. I call it the bridges. When you look at this same piece of information, you have an idea that started. When you came to the regional meeting, my guess is you wanted to get ideas that could push you from where you are today to where you want to be. When we set those goals, whether they're financial, personal, spiritual, whatever those goals are, we're starting here and we have a gap. I believe the gap is the potential. This is what I want. I'm saying bring it. The problem up until recently is I just had the gap. I didn't have the bridge. Today, in the next 15 minutes, we're going to be talking about the bridge, about how you can take 7 minutes in the evening and 7 minutes in the morning to create a written plan of action for tomorrow, because the only way that you can go across the bridge is one step at a time. This is where the excitement comes. Even today, I would look at my life as a financial advisor, and I would somehow hope that some miracle was going to happen. I'd be able to go from there to there. But when I realized I just had to take tiny steps every day, and I could slowly but surely walk across the bridge and hit my goal, and all I had to do was have a daily plan of action. So what action do we need to take in that plan? We have to do things by tiny steps. I'm saying this one more time because we've been trying to go from A to Z. There's a huge gap. The gap is the potential, but the bridge comes from taking it from A to B, B to C, C to D. That's where the excitement comes from. Every goal has to be specific. You have to have a clear outcome. You have to have a starting point and an ending point, and there needs to be a deadline. Let's just walk through these quickly. Do you have a specific goal for 2017? Do you have a goal for revenues, for assets, and for how many new clients, cases, or households you have to have? I mean, do you have those three things? Can you hold that number in your hand? Do you have a clear outcome, not just a business outcome, But what's the outcome at the end of December 2017? What do you want your life to look like? That's where I am. I want business to be successful, but I actually want to feel like I've added value to the clients. When somebody dies and you've sold them a life insurance policy, that matters. When you've sat down with somebody that's going through a tough time, that matters. I want to have a clear outcome of the knowledge that we want to have. I want to have a starting point. I want to have an ending point. I want to say by December of 2017, I'm going to get there. We have the ideas. We can see the future. The examples of goals that we need to look at are these kind of things. Derek and I were talking that you may want to be in the honor club, or you may want to make sure that you're doing a lot of separately managed accounts, increasing your assets under management, being aware of commissions, understanding all the investments and the learning and the action that you can take, and making sure we're walking across that bridge. The real problem for me is that I was always looking forward and never getting to an ending point. I never got to a place. At the end of today's day, if you can have an exact production revenue goal for 2017, an exact amount of assets under management that you want to hit, and a specific number of net new households, then you're going to have a business model that has a starting point and an ending point. And rather than feeling like you never get to enough, because it didn't matter how much business I did, I never felt like it was enough. If we can have these things, we can get to enough at any point in our job and feel great about what we do. This is one of the only careers that we can have a great quarter and still feel like we're shark bitten. We can still come out every day going, man, that's hard. That's why we have to have these goals, so we get to enough, and not only for the year, but for the day. So the solution is knowing these things: gross production, assets under management, net new households. So why? Why and how? I want to make it really simple for me, so I've created a spreadsheet that I use. For me, it's called the recurring revenue calculator, and it looks like this. You're going to have a copy of this when you leave today. You'll be able to download it instantly. Let's say that you have a starting on recurring revenue right now where you have $8,000. What that's going to say is a year from now, if you're wanting to grow your business by 100%, at 80 bips, you have to go from $1 million in assets to $2 million in assets. By going to $2 million at 80 basis points, your business is going to grow to $16,000. So you think you can have a fast start, but what happens if you can grow the next year at 60% and 40%? And then obviously as the assets get bigger, it gets tougher and tougher. But if you could use this sample, in 10 years, you would grow from 8,000 to 106,000 in recurring revenues. That's pretty powerful. Now I'm going to swap screens here. Go in here. This is a live calculator. So this is actually something that you can come in and use. Pull this on. When you come into this, and you'll have this available to download today, you're going to be able to come in and say, well, I'm not really at 8,000 yet. I'm at 5,000. And I want you to watch the numbers. They will instantly change. So let's go back and just say that we're at the $8,000 number. So we're at $8,000. No, my computer. And we're going to go back to that same scenario. So now we have 100% growth. We're at 2 million. That takes us from 8,000 recurring revenues to 16,000. You say, well, Allyson, I don't really think I can grow at 100%. So we're going to come in and we're going to change this to 50%. Now when we do that, the 50% number is going to change. You're going to need to grow from $1 million to $1.5 million, and that's going to take your revenue from 8,000 up 50% to 12,000. This is a live calculator that allows you to calculate what you want to do. And the great part about this is it's a year at a time. I guess you could make it a week at a time or a month at a time. But what this does is it gives me an ending point. If I say I want to grow my business at 50%, and somewhere around August I get to 1.5, I've hit a finish line, and that leaves me another 3 months to just excel past that. What if I think I can grow my business at 50% for several years? You'll be able to decide how long you want it to take you to get to a certain point. Now, like any mathematician, I'll share that the front end of this is really important. When you come in and you start front loading your practice, that really makes a difference. So let's look at, what if I could double my business for the first 3 years? I have no doubt that there are people out there that have $1 million in one swath, or they have 250,000. If you want to double your business this year, $1 million will do it. That's pretty exciting. What if you want to double it the following year? Look at this income jump. But the key to having this, and I'm going to take it back to the numbers we originally had, the key to this is being able to know, to get to that place where you can come in and you can set for yourself whatever benefits those are. And at this level, if you grow from 100%, 60, 40, 25, 25, 25, 15, 15, and 10, you'll grow from 8,000 in revenue to 106,000. That's pretty exciting. And you can change these numbers however you want to. I'm going to come back in just a minute if there are any short questions. This is where I think it's different of what Derek and Margaret are bringing to you, is an opportunity to set the real numbers for what you want to do and how hard you feel like you're going to work. Again, we said, what's it going to take? 24 hours in a day, 1,440 minutes. What if in the next 5 minutes, less than 7 minutes, I could say, what should I think about in those 14 minutes, 7 minutes in the evening and 7 minutes in the morning that are going to grow my business by 100%, 60%? When you come in and look at the 7-minute life, and I've got some surprise gifts for you today, this is the number one tool. I created this back in the, good gracious, 1990s. And I said, okay, if I want to grow my business, how many people am I going to have to call? This was a daily contact report. When I was looking at this, and I started when I was 22 years old and I finished when I was 52, at that point I found out that the average advisor was making 9 outbound calls a day. 9 outbound calls a day. That's 1 an hour. What if I could look at my call sheet and I could say to myself, I'm going to make 2 calls an hour. 2. I'm going to make 18 calls a day. I mean, that's crazy. If I were to do that, I'm going to double the average of what most people are producing. Well, how do I do that? This is how I do it. I take 7 minutes in the evening and I set a goal. What do I want to accomplish tomorrow? And I write out the 5 things, not 100, but 5 high-value things that are going to make me money. We call those the 5 before 11. These are specific things that you can do within 20 minutes. For example, I'm going to call that guy whose Post-it note has been sitting on my desk for a long time. That call, you may or may not get a hold of them, but that call is something you can do. If you call enough people, imagine. If you were to accomplish 5 high-value activities, going to a networking event, calling a center of influence, looking at cash that you have that you could deploy, if you did 5 high-value activities per day in 1 week, you would have accomplished 35 high-value activities, taking you towards becoming that producer, that person. Exercise might be on your list, but you may remember that the 7-minute life works on a 90-day platform. If you were to accomplish 5 things over a 90-day platform, you'd accomplish 450 positive steps forward. What if that just meant 3 calls a day? What if it meant 18 calls a day? Well, let's look at how it works. When I knew I wanted to grow my business and I had this bridge that I wanted to go across from the gap, I knew I could only do it daily. And because I'd been in the business for a while, I knew how many people I needed to call. The problem was I just didn't want to call them. So I wear this Fitbit thing. I've just lost a bunch of weight. And the reason this works for me is because I can see it. I'm challenged by it. So I created in this daily progress report these little dashes. And by the way, you're going to be getting these. Can y'all see these little bitty dashes? It's 10, 20, 30. I created a tracking spreadsheet. And this is what I want you to write down. My goal was to get to 25 points a day. And I had a scorecard. If I made an outbound call, just attempted it, I got 1 point. If I got a hold of the person, I still got 1 point. If I called a prospect and didn't get a hold of them, I got 3 points. But if I did reach them fine, I got 3 points. If I had a face-to-face meeting with a prospect or a center of influence, I got 5 points. If I had a long telephone conversation with a prospect or client, if I got, like, I'm just about to go to the Chamber of Business after hours, I get 5 points for that. And because I'm teaching this class and there are like 50 people or more in there, I get 1 point for every person we teach. So what does that look like, and why could it make a difference in your life? What would happen? We've got about 4 minutes left. Let me go back. Come on. What would happen if you had a single sheet of paper that you could take 7 minutes and decide, okay, if I get nothing else done, I'm going to do 5 high-value things before 11 o'clock. Not 100, but 5. I'm going to write down the name of 3 centers of influence that I can call that day. I'm going to get some of those things that are driving me crazy and get them off my list. And I'm going to call enough people so that I get enough points. This is where I track them. My goal was to get to 25 points. The easiest way for me to do that at 3 points a pop was to call 8 prospects a day. That's how I get there. If I got to 24 points, it didn't count. We all get to a place where we want to get to the deadline. Every day there was a starting point. Every day there was an ending point. If I were to make 25 points a day, my business would skyrocket. Whatever point system you want to use, this is how we hit that. Bottom line is we got to have a bridge. The tiny steps only comes from doing things. I had to change my behavior. If I was going to call more people, I wanted credit for it. I wanted to be able to track it and to see it. So what happens? You know, I can tell you all about these tools. This is a copy of mine. This is for Monday. I put down my 5 before 11. So what I've done is I've created a page for you. It's a 7minutelife.com/mutual of Omaha. Whoop, let me go back. I want to be able to have you log in to this page, the 7minutelife.com/mutual of Omaha. You can read about our planner. If you want a free copy of the downloadable planner, I want you to come to this page, Mutual of Omaha, and just take the survey. We want people to know what they really need. How is their time management? You come in, you take the survey, you submit it, and you'll get a copy of the free planner. I've also put all of these slides in here so that you can watch them. I've put the Excel goal calculator. You can download it. And so all of these things are there. If you download the planner, though, it doesn't do you any good to have it. Here's a 1-hour video that you can watch to learn how to use it. These pieces are very powerful. All of this is here. It takes about 2 days to get this out to you via email. You print it off. It's coming to you free. I've had 30 minutes to share with you things that I believe can change lives. This is the one thing that I think can. I can't do it all, but I can try to go from 1 million to 2 million. That's a bridge. Maybe I can't grow it at 60%, but maybe I can grow it at 20%. Can I find 400,000? Yes. These are the bridges, step by step by step, that can take you from where you are today to where you want to be. So Derek, that's what I have today for you. I think it's really important that we have some kind of platform where we can build these things and move on from there. Derek, I'm going to give it back to you. I don't know if there are questions or things that people would like more explanation on.
Yeah, let's open it up for questions. Any questions for Allyson? No questions. No questions, but good comments. Go ahead.
Said no questions.
No questions, but good comments. We appreciate your time and what you've given to us today. And when I get back to the office, I'll follow up with you for our path forward.
All right. And this video will also be on that page.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Y'all go have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.